Imagine for a second that you are just, dropped right into a freezing, completely desolate wasteland. Society has basically collapsed. You are huddled behind these fortress walls, and starvation isn't just some vague threat. It's the actual reality you wake up to every single morning.
Yeah, a total nightmare scenario.
Right. But now imagine that right in the middle of this brutal, agonizing fight for just like every scrap of food, you look down at your own hands and discover you have a literal cheat code.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So this universe we're looking at today, people have this internal stat sheet, right? And you notice your focus is stat, which is basically the biological battery used to cast magic. It's completely blank.
Wow.
It just doesn't deplete. You have infinite energy. So how would having infinite, limitless resources in a world that is defined entirely by scarcity, completely rewrite the rules of survival?
I mean, it fundamentally breaks the reality of that world. It just shatters it. Oh, absolutely, because it takes you from playing this desperate survival game where like every single calorie matters to playing a grand scale strategy game almost overnight.
Right, yeah.
Because the absolute foundational laws of physics and, exhaustion that govern literally every other living being, they just simply no longer apply to you.
Exactly. And that brings us to the subject of today's deep dive into the source material. We're looking at the completely absurd, just extraordinary trajectory of a guy named Noah Osmont.
Yeah, it's a wild ride.
It really is.
Yeah.
Our sources today, they detail this factual account of a multiversal conflict where Noah uses this specific anomaly, this infinite mana, to, not only survive a freezing apocalypse, but to completely upend the balance of power across entirely different dimensions.
And our mission today is to really look at the anatomy of that disruption. We are going to explore how raw, unfiltered power, when it is combined with stolen intelligence and just a total willingness to break traditional universal rules, allows a single individual to reshape kingdoms, to outsmart ancient demons, and completely master these alien magic systems.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we get into like ancient demons and multiversal wars, we actually have to look at how this infinite energy changes the basic rules of civilization on the ground.
Right, the immediate impact.
Exactly. And it starts in this place called the Frozen Kingdom, a nation that is quite literally freezing and starving to death. So Noah discovers his blank focus stat, and he just starts testing it.
Right, and he tests it in like the most rudimentary way possible. He casts an F rank spell, just a simple fireball.
Just the basics.
Yeah, but let's define our terms here for a second. In this world, an awakened hunter is just a human who has unlocked the ability to absorb ambient magic, right?
Okay.
So an average hunter casting an F rank spell might be able to conjure that fireball maybe 5-10 times before their internal battery is completely drained.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah, and then they pass out from exhaustion.
Right, so think of it like sprinting. You can only sprint so far before your muscles just, completely stop working.
Exactly, that's a great analogy. But Noah casts it over 500 times.
500.
500. Zero fatigue, no muscle failure, no mental drain whatsoever.
That's insane.
It really is. And it allows him to enter these hostile dimensional pockets. They call them dungeons in the sources, specifically places like Ape's Paradise and the Frozen Wasteland. And he just clears out all the monsters completely solo.
Because he doesn't need to stop.
Right. He doesn't need a team to watch his back while he rests because he literally never rests.
Wow.
But the true paradigm shift, like the moment the actual scale of this anomaly becomes apparent, happens when he takes that combat level stamina and applies it to agriculture.
Okay, yes. I was trying to wrap my head around this part of the notes.
Right.
Because he gets this skill called budding farmer. And normally, from my understanding of the sources, a magic skill like this might help crops along slightly. Like maybe you infuse the soil with a bit of mana to, shave a few weeks off a harvest.
Yeah, that's the standard application. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's meant to be just a minor supplemental boost.
But Noah has infinite mana. He just walks through the barren, snowy, completely frozen fields of this kingdom, and he just spams the skill.
Just spams it.
He pumps this endless ocean of magical energy directly into the dead dirt, forcing acres and acres of these white radishes and frozen apples to grow instantly.
Instantly. It's nice.
But mechanically speaking, how does that even work? Like, how do you grow an apple in a snowbank just by throwing energy at it?
But what's fascinating here is the sheer brute force biological manipulation. I mean, plants need sunlight, water, and nutrients, right? And those are just forms of energy. Noah is essentially bypassing the whole natural life cycle by forcefully injecting pure, unadulterated magical energy directly into the seed's cellular structure.
Oh, I see.
He isn't waiting for the environment to provide for the plant. His mana becomes the sun, the water, and the soil all at once, which forces the cells to multiply and mature in literal seconds.
Wow. So it's not even farming, really. It's just like molecular printing using mana.
Precisely. That is exactly what it is. And the socioeconomic impact of this is just immediate and staggering. Noah isn't just out there killing monsters in the woods to protect a small village. He is actively stabilizing a collapsing macroeconomy.
Yeah, he averts a catastrophic kingdom-wide famine literally overnight.
Overnight.
Which completely shifts the political landscape. Because, whoever controls the food in a starving world controls the throne.
Absolutely.
And this overnight abundance essentially secures the coronation of this woman known as the Ice Princess, Adelaide, as queen. Because the people unanimously support her, since she's the one who seemingly orchestrated this whole agricultural miracle.
Right.
But wait, I have a question. If you're Adelaide, and some random guy just strolls out of a snowstorm with infinite radishes, you don't just blindly trust him.
Oh, you absolutely wouldn't. It's way too suspicious. But Adelaide has this massive, really unique advantage. It's a skill called Golden Rule.
Okay, what is that?
It allows her to literally see the auras of intent around people. Yeah, so if someone has ulterior motives, if they mean her harm, or if they're, trying to manipulate her, they glow with this distinct dark light.
That's super useful.
Very. And if they are genuinely helpful or truthful, the aura reflects that purity. So when Noah shows up, she doesn't have to rely on political intuition or magical lie detectors.
Right.
She uses Golden Rule to mechanically verify his intentions the exact second he walks into the room. This allows her to trust him completely and immediately.
She just bypasses months of political vetting.
Exactly, which lets her confidently navigate her kingdom's survival without constantly watching her back.
Okay, so Noah and Adelaide have basically stabilized the North through, infinite apples and aura reading. But when you disrupt a system that heavily, you inevitably paint a massive target on your back.
You really do.
And the whole reason the kingdom was starving in the first place was because these multiversal invaders, these demons, were actively trying to weaken and conquer this world. And obviously they notice their plans are suddenly failing.
Yeah, they're not happy.
So the demon kings send their absolute best spy to investigate.
They send the 59th ranked demon king, Orias. And Orias is a terrifying adversary, not because she's gonna punch a hole through a mountain, but because of her extreme utility.
Right.
She possesses two highly problematic unique skills: shapeshifter and spatial travel.
So she can look like anyone, and she can teleport.
It's actually more than just teleportation. Spatial travel means she can actively fold the fabric of space.
Oh, God.
Yeah, she doesn't have to travel the distance between point A and point B. She just makes point A and point B the exact same location.
That is terrifying.
So she arrives on Snowy Peak, the heart of the Frozen Kingdom, disguised as an innocent, vulnerable little girl.
Of course.
It's her preferred infiltration method because it bypasses human threat responses entirely.
But the sources say Noah is already 10 steps ahead here.
Yeah.
And the way he does this is actually kind of horrifying when you think about it.
It really is.
He had previously defeated another demon named Gremory, and he used a skill to literally plunder Gremory's centuries of memories.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second. Think about the last time you learned a complex skill for your job. Probably took you months, right?
At least.
Now imagine you could just knock out a competitor and instantly download their last 200 years of life experience directly into your brain.
Yeah.
That's the sheer violation of nature Noah is committing here.
It's psychological cannibalism, really, but tactically, it's flawless.
Yeah.
Noah knows everything about Orias before she even arrives. He knows her spatial habits, her favorite disguises, and her completely sadistic psychological profile.
Right, so he spots a little girl matching the exact parameters of her disguise.
Exactly. And Queen Adelaide uses her Golden Rule skill to confirm it. The little girl's aura is just screaming danger, so Orias is completely exposed.
Which leads to the ambush. And looking at the notes, Noah goes full theatrical here.
Oh, he really hams it up.
He disguises himself as this overly dressed, perverted, wealthy noble. He basically turns himself into the exact kind of target Aureus loves to lure into an alley and torture. So he invites her into his carriage, the doors close, and boom, he teleports them both far away from the city. And the second they arrive, he unleashes this heavy, high-tier skill called the Corrupted Sigil of Hegemony. Wait, I have to push back here.
Go ahead.
I just don't get it. If you have infinite mana, why bother with the carriage? Why do the whole wealthy, noble routine at all?
That's a fair question.
Like, why not just blast her from the sky with 1,000 fireballs the millisecond she sets foot in the city limits?
It's a great question, and it highlights a really fundamental truth about high-level combat in this universe. Raw power is completely meaningless if you can't land the hit.
Okay.
If Noah just launched a massive apocalyptic attack the moment Aureus felt a threat to her life, she would just fold space. She would simply blink out of existence and reappear on the other side of the planet, or even back in the demon world.
Oh, like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands?
Exactly. You can have the strongest grip in the world, but the smoke just slips right through your fingers. Worse, if she escapes, she takes all the intelligence about Noah's infinite mana straight back to the other demon kings.
Ah, yeah. His element of surprise would be completely gone.
Gone forever.
So he has to put the smoke in a jar before he does anything.
Precisely. That is exactly what the Corrupted Sigil of Hegemony does. It's the jar. It applies a massive debuff called Restrict Movement to anything caught inside its radius.
Okay.
It forcefully anchors the localized space, so Aureus' spatial magic is completely locked down. But here's the catch, and this is why it's so incredibly tense.
Yeah.
The sigil's lockdown effect only lasts for exactly 30 seconds.
30 seconds. That is an incredibly tight window to kill a demon king.
It creates an insane pressure cooker scenario, because in those 30 seconds, Aureus realizes the little girl disguise failed, drops it, and turns into this massive blood-red demon shielded by dense layers of hellfire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Noah has exactly 30 seconds to inflict a true death on a centuries-old apex predator. If that timer hits 0, she just vanishes.
So because he has infinite mana, he just empties the tank all at once.
He essentially crashes the local reality with how much magic he outputs. He spams epic and legendary level skills simultaneously.
Like what?
Well, he casts Storm of Ice and Bones, creating this grinding physical glacier of destruction to just crush her hellfire. He uses his primal conjurer skill to instantly summon massive 8-meter tall trolls wielding physical heavy clubs to shatter her shields.
Oh my god.
He summons a corrupted Sword Saint incarnation to slice through her devices. It is just this relentless, overlapping barrage of high-tier magic compressed into a tiny 30-second window, and he nails her to the ground, killing her just as the spatial lock expires.
That is just ruthless efficiency. And with Aureus dead, the demons are totally spooked. They realize their rulers are just vanishing, so they initiate a massive multiversal retreat from this world.
Right.
And this hard-won breathing room allows Noah to finally, consolidate his power, which requires us to look at his base of operations, this spiritual land known as the Frozen Plateau.
Yes, spiritual lands. They are essentially portable pocket dimensions. They exist completely outside of normal geography.
Right.
And because Noah's summoned beasts have been consuming all those magical crops he's been endlessly farming, they are advancing in rank rapidly. This surge in the biological power of its inhabitants actually triggers the pocket dimension itself to upgrade to Tier 3.
Okay, I was reading this part in the sources and I actually laughed out loud. Because upgrading to Tier 3 unlocks a feature called Architecture.
Yes.
Noah is standing in this gritty, medieval, snow-covered fantasy world. And what does he build? He literally drops a sleek, futuristic, glass and concrete luxury house, complete with a steaming jacuzzi on the top floor, right into the middle of a frozen wasteland.
Yes. The aesthetic clash is completely absurd, but, it actually serves a highly functional purpose.
Really? The jacuzzi?
Well, the building itself acts as a hyper-concentrated sanctuary for his beasts, who are evolving rapidly. For instance, we see his primary summon, this incredibly arrogant Emperor Penguin.
Wait, a penguin. He's fighting ancient demon kings with a penguin.
A very, very powerful penguin.
Okay.
The penguin consumes these highly concentrated snow vines from the infinite farm, which pushes its internal biology past a critical threshold. This allows it to become the first of his beasts to break through to the legendary rank.
Wow, good for the penguin.
Right. The sheer concentration of ambient magical energy in this upgraded luxury base is just accelerating their cellular growth exponentially. But the most crucial development during this period isn't a building or an evolving penguin, it's a revelation.
Right. He gets a visitor, a girl named Sophia. But Sophia isn't actually a human. She is the physical, conscious manifestation of the planetary core itself.
Yes, she represents the sentient will of Noah's homeworld, and she reveals the true, horrifying scale of the multiversal war. You see, the demons aren't just conquering planets for territory or, political power. No, they are invading lower-tier worlds to physically mine them for essence.
And essence is what, exactly?
Think of essence as the literal lifeblood of a planet. It's the ambient energy that allows nature to grow, physics to function, and life to exist at all.
Oh, wow.
The demons drop specialized dungeons onto the planet like massive oil rigs, extracting this life force and turning vibrant, growing worlds into stagnant, dying energy farms.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Noah wasn't just some lucky guy who stumbled into an anomaly. He was specifically engineered for this.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, we realize Noah is a planetary defense mechanism.
Wow.
The planetary core, Sophia, calculated that a traditional defense was just mathematically impossible against superior multidimensional forces. So the planet broke its own universal law.
They cheated.
It cheated. It took the near infinite reserves of essence that belonged to the entire biosphere and funneled them into a single localized human vessel, Noah.
That's why his mana is infinite.
Yes. The goal was to create a statistical anomaly so powerful it could not only repel the invaders, but eventually take the fight back to their home dimensions, stopping the colonization right at its source.
So, understanding that just playing defense on a dying planet is ultimately a losing war, Noah decides to go on the offensive. He finds out that demons are looking for this supreme treasure called the Trident of Neptune, which is located in a deep-sea lost world called Atlantis. So he uses a skill to alter his own physiology so he can breathe underwater, dives into the abyssal depths, and runs headfirst into a completely unexpected variable. He finds the underwater city of Aqua.
And Aqua is a stunning technological marvel. The native merfolk and Atlanteans down there, they aren't using traditional magic. No. They are defending their city using advanced plasma guns, explosive submarines, and energy-based tridents. It's this highly sophisticated blend of sci-fi tech and deep-sea sorcery. But the twist is, they aren't fighting demons.
No. They are fighting an entirely different group of multiversal invaders. They're fighting these guys called cultivators from something called the Mountain Sea sect.
And this is where we see a massive clash of paradigms. The cultivators represent a completely alien system of power compared to everything Noah has seen so far.
Right.
They don't use raw magic pools, and they certainly don't use plasma technology. They utilize what they call laws and the Tao.
So I'm vaguely familiar with the Tao, but in this context, what does it actually mean? How do you fight with a philosophy?
Well, in this universe, the Tao is the literal fundamental source code of reality.
Okay.
Cultivators spend decades, sometimes centuries, meditating to understand the absolute truth of an element like water or fire or gravity. As their understanding deepens, they condense that spiritual enlightenment into a physical core inside their bodies, often called a nascent core.
Wow, centuries of meditation.
Yeah. And they don't cast spells, they command the universe to obey them based on their spiritual authority over those laws.
Which explains why they're unbelievably arrogant. Like, they look at these technologically advanced Atlanteans shooting plasma lasers and literally call them uncultured fish.
Yeah, the arrogance is off the charts.
Because they see themselves as scholars of the universe, and the Atlanteans as just monkeys with shiny tools. So these cultivators, there's one named Disciple Bob, and a leader named Marshall Uncle Softsword, which are great names, by the way. They form up to execute the Mountain Sea sect's sixth style dragon form. And this isn't just a spell. They physically link the spiritual energy of hundreds of cultivators together to manifest a massive, destructive blue dragon constructed out of the ocean water itself.
It's a network formation of just immense conceptual power, anchored by a high-ranking cultivator. The Atlanteans, even with their concentrated plasma lasers, are completely outmatched. The plasma just dissipates against the sheer conceptual weight of the water dragon.
Enter Noah.
Here he comes.
And he does not try to out-philosophize them. He activates the fiendish sword beast transformation, turning his body into this terrifying 8-meter-tall bear-human hybrid with horns.
As one does.
Right. But he doesn't try to physically punch the massive water dragon either. He uses an epic skill called Chains of Lightning. But why lightning?
Because it's a brilliant disruption tactic. Noah analyzes the mechanics of the dragon form and realizes it relies on the synchronized spiritual energy of hundreds of weaker disciples acting as battery nodes. He uses the lightning to specifically target the weaker gold and nascent core disciples in the formation. The lightning surges through the water, paralyzing their nervous systems. The moment their concentration breaks, the energy flow is disrupted, and the entire massive dragon form just destabilizes.
It just falls apart.
It collapses from the inside out, leading to the cultivator's utter destruction.
It's basically an EMP for spiritual energy. But here's the part that totally blew my mind. When Noah kills these cultivators, he doesn't just get normal loot. He absorbs these things called water crystals. And the digital video game-like system that governs Noah's infinite mana actually quantifies this totally alien power system. It translates their lifelong spiritual dial cultivation into a hard percentage. Noah suddenly gains a 5% mastery in the law of water. And his system tells him that this mathematical 5% translates to a 500% boost in sheer output to all of his water-based skill.
It is an absolutely absurd multiplier.
Wait, I have to stop here and just marvel at the sheer audacity of this. These cultivators spend decades sitting under waterfalls, starving themselves, seeking deep spiritual harmony with the universe. And Noah just bypasses all of it.
Pretty much.
Just drops a lightning bolt on them, loops their corpses, and steals their enlightenment like it's a software update. How is that even possible?
It's crazy, but this raises an incredibly important, almost existentially terrifying question about the nature of power in Noah's universe. The cultivators believed power was a negotiation.
Right.
You seek harmony with the day to slowly coax the universe into favoring you. Noah's system doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask the universe for permission. It is a predatory mechanism that forcibly cannibalizes the fundamental rules of reality from the defeated.
It just strips the code right out of them.
Exactly. And it proves that Noah's true strength isn't just his infinite mana pool, it is his infinite adaptability. Think about it. He is actively synthesizing traditional medieval magic, hyper-advanced plasma technology, and ancient spiritual Taoist laws into one unified, terrifying arsenal.
He is a walking singularity. He just absorbs everything. So what does this all mean? Let's quickly recap what you just heard. We started with a guy surviving a freezing apocalypse by shooting endless basic fireballs at monsters in the snow.
Yeah.
From there, he realizes that infinite energy can force dead soil to grow crops, allowing him to single-handedly manipulate the geopolitics of a starving kingdom. Then he uses the downloaded memories of a dead demon to execute a perfectly timed 30-second localized spatial trap to assassinate the universe's ultimate spy. And now, he is diving into the deep ocean to literally cannibalize the foundational spiritual laws of foreign dimensions just by beating them in a fight.
I think the final lesson here is that having infinite resources, whether that's money, time, or in this case, magical energy, is really only half the equation.
Only half.
Yeah. If Noah had just stood in the snow and spammed fireballs forever, he would have eventually been outmaneuvered. Orias would have just folded space and assassinated him from behind, or the cultivators would have crushed him with conceptual laws his fire couldn't even touch.
Right, because raw output has a ceiling.
Exactly. The true key to his survival and his ultimate dominance is the ruthless synthesis of information. He steals memories to understand his enemy's psychology before they even attack. He takes alien technology and fuses it with stolen Taoist laws. It is his cross-disciplinary knowledge and his utter disregard for the proper way of doing things that makes him unstoppable.
It's that absolute lack of boundaries. He doesn't care if the power comes from a demon, a machine, or a monk, as long as it works. But that leaves me with one final thought, something for you to mull over after we wrap up today's deep dive.
What's that?
Well, if Noah's entire system is built on assimilation, If he can absorb the unique abilities of demons, mutant beasts, and ancient cultivators simply by defeating them and stealing their rules, what happens when he inevitably encounters a being whose power isn't rooted in magic or laws or spiritual cultivation at all?
Oh, interesting.
What happens when he meets something fundamentally incomprehensible to his system? If your ultimate power relies entirely on stealing the rules of the game from other people, what exactly do you do when you meet someone who plays a game with no rules at all? Imagine sitting there with your infinite energy cheat code, feeling untouchable, only to realize the other player just unplugged the console entirely.